that one and more point I'd like to add is that DSA is probably not dead, and it's probably not close to being dead, because she mentioned the visa example where someone who has 20 years of experience, they still had to like reach out for DSA, and I don't think that was a scene maybe 20 years back or something like that. And I also know a lot of people like they have like 10, 15 years of experience, but they're still getting asked, DSA in the interview. So DSA is like LIC. I think they have, that tagline,
Yeah,
जिंदगी के बाद भी जिंदगी के like, and
प्लेसमेंट के साथ भी
placement
प्लेसमेंट के बाद भी.
साथ में और
Yeah.
बाद में. So you always have to be in touch with the DSA. So there was another doubt. So this doubt was kind of very open ended. So we can answer this later on. He said how to get an intern at Microsoft in 2026. Since it's very open ended, could you just explain the timelines when Microsoft generally hires, and for what years when they hire, if you can recall when that happened with you, and if you can explain the rounds in a very brief manner, that
Okay, so earlier there used to be Microsoft Engage for second year, where it was sort of an OA round, then asking some questions on course years also, then selecting some people, giving them some project which they used to do in, I think so, 4 to 5 months of time tenure, and then selecting the best projects, and then the best projects that were selected, those people used to get internship in the third year, direct
correct.
internships.
Hmm.
In my year, Microsoft Engage didn't happen when I was
Yeah.
in second year. And in third year, then I went from the same off-campus internship path. So there, I think so. Normally, you can, if you are in your third year, normally the timeline is around May, April. April and May, you can start looking at these things. They start at least releasing the applications for the internship. The OAs normally start by August of these companies. Google, Amazon, Microsoft all have almost the same calendar. And then by September, you can expect your interviews to happen. With October, you have the results with you. But this is like the early peeps. I know there are some people in Microsoft who interned with me. They had given their interviews in November or
Okay.
December. But it totally depends. So I always say don't wait for the last time, because the moment they get their number of applicants they wanted, they'll close the job. So you cannot sit for the very last application and you're like, okay, because normally we think, okay, we will be more prepared, more,
More
we will be
prepared.
never
Correct.
be. You will never be fully prepared. So it's better the moment you see a application open, apply for it. That's it. So
Okay.
that's the usual guidelines. And if somebody asks me what is the way to get into the Microsoft intern, then I will say if you are following the fundamentals that we have discussed,
Correct.
then ideally you will be able to get into Microsoft or let's say Google. But you have to be at least well versed with the fundamentals. So as a fresher, they don't expect you to be master of system design or anything. But at least they would expect you to be well versed with the fundamentals, that is core CS. The most important being OOPS, OS, DBMS, these three, with DSA, with your projects that you have mentioned on your resume, right? So
Yeah.
that's what they will expect you to be well versed with. And if you can be well versed with that, I think so OA you can handle with DSA, and interview you can handle with your resume knowledge, then all is good, I believe.
Yeah. So Muskan, I'd like to guide you to the rapid fire question. So they're mostly one word answers. You can feel free to
Okay.
answer in one word. So
Okay.
yeah. So the first question is first internship or first rejection, which taught you more?
First rejection.
Okay, and could you tell the audience where that was, if you remember, like what company
Yeah,
that was, if you
totally. Google step. I
okay,
applied to it with all my rigorous effort and I was rejected in the final round. Yeah.
okay. The second question is your go-to AI tool, apart from apart from Copilot, because that is something that you use in your organization. But apart from that, if you want to name anything,
Um, okay, ChatGPT, because that's the most common thing that you would open on your
correct.
phone. That's not always open, but I like Claude more. My
Okay,
favorite one, if you ask, is Claude, but ChatGPT is the most accessible one. It's always open on your phones. Yeah.
okay. Your favorite tech creator?
Vivek Gupta. So the people who were asking me for resources, I will be the biased one. So here I either there's Ashokan Pichai, my Google mentor, Google Women Engineers, in
Oh,
which
okay.
I studied. So, but he's not an influencer. He's too busy mentoring people.
Yeah.
He is not into this influencing era and stuff.
Yeah.
But Vivek Gupta, AlgoZenith founder, whom I studied from,
Okay.
he does influence and mentor more than influence. I think so. He inspires and mentors
Mentors. Yeah.
peeps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my favorite tech influencer is a biased answer, but it's Vivek Gupta.
Yeah. What is the most underrated resource, whether that is DSA resource or any other website or something that you feel that is helpful, but a lot of people don't know about?
I think so. Medium blocks.
Yeah.
Medium blocks, lead code discuss, where both these places you can find past interview experiences, and
Yeah.
they are really, really great. And I think so. People don't understand how great they are. I think so. The last 10 days before your interview, the only things that you should refer is lead code discuss, past interview experiences, or medium blocks for the same.
Okay. Our next question is best amenity in Microsoft's Office.
Okay. Um, I think so. Pantry.
Yeah, that,
You
I think
get
that is the most
the
common answer.
uh, yeah,
Most
pantry.
of the people
There are many. It's very hard to choose, but yeah,
choose
pantry
one. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
yeah, food and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite IT park or I don't know, IT location like Hyderabad, Bangalore, wherever you went. If you can recall an IT park, if you want a name or location that you
Okay.
like working from.
Okay, I love where I work today, but
Okay.
I think so. But the very first tech place or tech office that I visited was Google Hyderabad through the Women
Okay.
Engineers College. In my very first year, I got the chance and we
Yeah.
visited that. So that is my favorite because that actually made me realize, oh shit, yes, I want to do it. I want to do it
Correct.
badly. So that is like a more of a nostalgic memory that I have. So that will always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best mantra you can say, or like your I don't know how to state this question, but one personal mantra that you live by, whether that is something related to your personal religious beliefs or something like that that really is
As
always
I
there in your
said,
heart or mind. Yeah.
yeah, as I said, it was told to be by my uncle, and I still keep it very close to my heart. That is, there's nothing like failure, Muskan. Either you succeed or you learn. So you are never at lost.
Yeah.
And adding on to it, which I learned through my journey, is that rules are made for general masses. Exceptions create their own path. So if anybody tells you, oh, you are not eligible, you will not be able to do it, work
Yeah.
hard, become an exception, and change the rule. Simple.
Okay. Judging a hackathon or being part in one.
Now judging. Now I like judging
Okay.
because you can get actually if you just take part, you just know about one idea of what you are working. As a judge, you are amazed by great ideas on the table. And you're like, oh my God, I can learn from this one as well, learn from this one as well. So judging is like a
Yeah.
great experience that I'm experiencing nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last question would be taking, like being a part of a podcast, taking a podcast yourself, or, hosting, I don't know, like a live event, where you host a lot of people. Like, what do you like the most? Like podcast versus, live events. Like the ones
Live
where,
events.
no, okay,
Yeah.
live events.
Live events. That's more fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that generally is like,
But it's
at least
difficult.
after COVID, at least after COVID,
Yeah,
that
at least
is
after
more fun
COVID,
now.
but it's tough. It's tough. You have some pale wall-like faces with no expression, and you're like, okay, I'm not getting if I'm doing good or not. But that's actually a fun challenge that I like. That if I can make that person enjoy, then I'm a good host. So yeah.
Yeah. To talk about resumes because that is what the recruiter sees, and nowadays a lot of people their resume probably doesn't even get to the recruiter. They have a lot of AI and things like that. So what is your advice regarding refining the resume first of all, and the most important point, how to build projects so that your resume actually has something good, because you've already talked about how having good company names really helps, but apart from that, what would be the other main advice that you have regarding projects and refining the resume?
Okay. Um, So the very first thing is true that when I talked to the Google recruiter during my V time, Women Genius Scholarship time, I remember she said the maximum time she gives to a resume is 10 seconds. So you can actually understand in 10 seconds how much a recruiter can read. But
Correct.
they do analyze the resume in those 10 seconds. Now, what is the thing? The thing is, I always stress upon bold your keywords, okay? First thing is obviously to be very sure you need to have content in your resume. But then once you have the content, then the resume has to be a one page. You cannot have two, 3 pages resume and expect the recruiter to read it all.
Correct.
First of all, that's a very negative impact because the recruiter says, okay, this is a common rule that you should know. Another same thing. We all know the ATS thing, etc., and things going on. So you know you are a software developer, and the templates for resume of software developer should not have picture. So you shouldn't also have a picture. Like follow the basic templates that you can find on Overleaf. Correct.
Yeah, I
So
think
during my days in
Jake Ryan is really famous, right?
exactly, correct. So during my first year, when I had to make my overleaf template, for the people who don't know, if you go to the overleaf website, you'll understand that the resume template have their own they have their language, right? So
Latex,
it's a
yeah,
code.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a coding language called LaTeX. So you need to know LaTeX, and in LaTeX only you form your resume, and then they convert it into a PDF. But
Correct.
today you have AI, so
So
that's now way more easier. So all you need to do is, I always say, pick up your like in AZ only I saw this idea implementation as well. So they have in Algorithm, they have this AI resume maker in their careers in it, what they have started. And that's a pretty cool idea of using AI. So through that, it actually get all your information and create a perfect resume for you. Let's say you are not a part of Algorithm or you cannot access it. You can try
correct.
to access it. Let's say you do anything or you don't like accessing it. Simple as it is. Okay. You're not doing it. Still, you have Claude and ChatGPT at your end. Use them. You have Gemini at your end. Give it
Yeah,
the role. Okay, these are the jobs that I'm trying to apply. These are the top three templates on Overleaf for such jobs that I could have found. This is all the info. Now, this is the info about myself. I've done this, whatever story you need to give it, give your story to ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, whatever you are using, and tell, okay, now make a resume for me. Out of this info, you select for such roles. Go. You can also refine the prompt to be like, make sure you search through the past interview experiences present on the web, and then decide what all things should I highlight for this job.
okay.
And it will give you, once it gives you, you can again play with it. You want to keep this, not this. As I always say, make sure you read what AI gives you back as a reply and refine that reply. Once you have your final reply, which you are happy with, then ask for the latex code for the same. Put it in overlay if you have got your resume.
Correct.
That's
Okay.
it.
And what about the projects? Like, if you can very briefly mention, how do you know a project is good, and how many projects do you feel are like good enough for fresher
Okay.
resumes?
So mainly when I used to define my projects, I used to define them in three ways: what, why, how. So what is okay? What is my project all about? Why is what was the motivation? There must be a motivation. There must be a problem that I saw in the society. Okay, I might not be solving it entirely, but there should be some inspiration. The inspiration cannot be okay. I saw a YouTube video, it said these are the top three projects you get into Google, Microsoft, so I did it. Even if you did that, please find a motivation to tell to the interviewer. Okay, make it up, it's okay, but do make it up also. Cool. So even in your resume, that should show. Okay, what is so even if you see today my resume, my projects are defined in the same way. What was the project? Why? And then what is the problem? What did it inspired me to do this project? For example, very small example was I created along with my other women engineers fellow mates. I created a hospital management website. Now, this is a very simple thing, a hospital management website, full stack, simple project. But the problem was that the patient, if I as a patient share my report with my doctor, my data is leaked. It's with the doctor now. He
Correct.
can, and we have many research papers and articles that are found to support that very thing, that so and so percentage of patient data has been leaked or sold to the medical research facilities without them knowing it,
Hmm.
and it's already mentioned in newspaper and research. And I said, oh, this is a problem, so let us have a blockchain encrypted website. so that I can ensure that the patient's data is secure. Now, that small idea, a small problem clubbed together, a good idea. That's what is a good project, because now I can tell what is that project, I can tell why I chose that project, and same way I can also tell how, as in, okay, after this, if this is implemented, what will be the output, how much security can be introduced, etc. Like that. Again, here AI can help you have a very good description of a project. But this is one
Correct.
way I should think of a project, of it being good or not, as a judge myself. Okay.
Okay.
Now, coming on to on the student part. As a student, how should I decide which is a good project? First, read different medium blogs. I always say, as a fresher, you don't need to always have a very unique idea. You can read a medium blog, you can like that project, but you can say, okay, this is where I can improve it, or this is where it is lacking. I can improve it. That 10% improvement, and that's your project then. You can just
Yeah.
have a 10% addition on some 90% good project which you could relate to, and that works. Third option is, as I said, participate in hackathons.
Correct. They
Good
have the
college
problem
hackathons,
statement.
yeah, good company hackathons. Even if you lose, it's okay. People, the biggest mistake juniors do is they lose a hackathon, they leave the project midway. Come on, that was a hackathon project that had a good problem statement. You gave it in your all self, and even if you lost, you got mentors' suggestions,
Correct.
their improvements, suggestion, their some critique. Work on that, make it a full solid project, and then later on present it in your interview.
Okay.
So
That
that's
was
like the
pretty.
best methods, yeah, to get
Yeah.
a good problem statement for
So
your
mainly the
projects.
add-on, and I think a lot of people have also mentioned that repeatedly throughout, like even my podcast and other podcasts, that pick a problem and just have that add-on or distinctive feature. Like Muskan had mentioned, our project is very common. If you can see, hospital management is very common, but the blockchain one, I don't think I personally haven't heard anyone have that where she had something new in her project. Muskan, for the folks that already are working at Microsoft or other big companies, mostly it's the intern period right now. So, what is your advice regarding PPOs? Just if you could give your top three advices how to secure a PPO, and yeah,
Okay. First advice, as an intern, you are nowhere expected to be the master. So if you have a doubt, make sure you ask about it to your mentor, to your manager. But before asking a doubt, because you have AI today, also, even if you don't have AI, first work upon your doubt. So rather than asking, oh, I don't know, the
mm,
better way to ask is, okay, I was stuck at this place. I tried option A, option B, option C, and then these were the blockers in each of this. Can you guide me what should be my next step? That shows that you worked upon first yourself and then reach that person with some supporting facts. The last thing I would like to mention, again, there can be X things, oh, do your project where this, that, everything. But the two main things that I think so normally people don't say, first this one, second one is have a bonding with your team. Even if you don't get an internship, but you were able to network with your team and cross team people. You actually network with the Microsoft engineers, which later on will be at some great positions eventually in their career, and you can obviously every time approach them for guidance, for career growth, for any place where you need a senior to guide you well. So ideally your aim here in the internship, obviously that's PPO, but more important, which we tend to forget, is networking. So make sure you bond well with your teammates. If you get an opportunity to bond well with cross teams, like you get a project where you have to work cross team, make sure you bond with everyone, you learn from everyone well. So here you are to learn. I know everyone wants a PPO, but again, this giving the dialogue of Three Idiots, नॉलेज के पीछे भाग सक्सेस झक मार के पीछे आएगी as philosophical as it may sound, but it's true. The more you are focused on learning from your seniors at Microsoft, the more you are focused on delivering something better rather than just focusing on PPO will eventually follow.
yeah,
And just one last advice is what happens during the 2 month internship. Most of the companies like Microsoft, etc., are now taking exit interviews also. So even
correct.
after you perform well in your, let's say you perform very well in your internship, I believe you have to give one. If you perform good, but they want to take two, so it depends team to team also. There are different
Mm,
rules that keeps on changing every year, but one interview at least everyone has to give now.
correct.
Even if you have got the highest ratings as well, even I had to give an interview, a single. So their DSA can also be asked. So they do ask DSA. And in the 2 months, it's very hard to find time to practice DSA. So
Correct.
the most common question that I get from the even the people who have got intern to PPO this year in Microsoft, and they will be joining Microsoft this year. I was mentoring them last year. So even them, they were like, okay, what tech stack can I learn? What languages? I'm like, don't. You don't know which team you are gonna go. You don't know which tech stack you're gonna work with. Don't focus there. You have enough time to learn something and then deliver in those 2 months. All you can do if you wanna do something is work on DSA, because that 2 months will not allow time for you to practice DSA. But exit interview, you might be asked DSA, and mostly you will be asked. Okay,
Correct. Again,
so
back to
it's
the
better
DSA
you,
point.
yeah. So it's better you have your notes ready. Let's say, for example, for me, I on Wednesday I had my presentation, Thursday I received the interview link, and Friday I had my exit interview. So if you know you just have 24 hours left, you know, okay, I have practiced DSA well, and I can just go through these revision notes in these 24 hours, and I'm good to go. That's all it's required for PPO. If you have a good team bonding, you were vocal about your doubts, and even asking the correct doubts give you brownie points. So remember that, okay? So if you were vocal about your things, you bonded well with people, you learned well. So the internship is about learning and showing the growth based on your learning. If you are doing that, you will get the PPO hopefully.
Okay. So then I wanted to talk about your life at Microsoft because that is the motivation for a lot of people and a good way to waste time for some, for the people that don't actually work hard after that. So how was your like day in life of someone who works at Microsoft, and how was your experience the first time you went to the campus, because it's a different experience altogether when you enter somewhere new. So yeah.
So okay, so when I entered as an intern, I had my intern orientation session in Sovereign. So in Noida also you have two offices. One is Sovereign, one is KP Towers. So I interned and I also currently work in KP Towers. But our orientation was in Sovereign. And Sovereign is the Taj Mahal theme office, one of the most beautiful offices of Microsoft in India. And I was like, oh my God, this is jaw dropping. It felt obviously, even the building as you go into, you feel like, oh, is this a 5 star or something? Where have I come? And then, obviously, from being the student in the college where you were asking, please, may I come in and all, to some becoming a professional where people are actually saying, oh, good morning, ma'am. And then 2 minutes, you're like, ma'am, me, actually? So that happens, and that is the shift that happens. But more, I would say the good part was that I still date enjoy is that there is somebody who is doing great in art and still working as a software engineer beside you, and you're like, oh man, he's an artist, and you get to learn so much about that. Even I love the walks after the lunch. So after the lunch, when you're having the walk, there's somebody telling a life experience of what he learned out of a car buying thing, that this insurance you should have taken, I didn't take. That's a learning. There's someone who is saying, okay, this was the failure that I faced at the college, and then this is how I overcome it, and right now I'm at Microsoft. So there's also AIR 6 working in our office, and there's somebody who has found his way from TCS, Infosys, not saying that they're not great companies, but obviously
A lot of
starting
hard work. Correct.
having, yeah, yeah, a humble journey, having a humble start to something as fandom. So you have all kind of people, and the best part about Microsoft is they are also supportive. So if you want to say, do, okay, I want to dance, you have opportunity to dance. So every Friday we have something known as Microsoft Garage, where you have mug printing workshops, you have laser engraving workshops, you have 3D model making workshops, you have X number of workshops happening. And you are like, oh, is this an office? But yeah, we have to work and enjoy both. Then there are team outings. Okay. So believe me, as much pressure we have for the quarter goals, right? The same pressures managers have for the quarter team outings to happen and to happen in a way of a blast. Okay, they have to be a blast of fun. I've seen that pressures on the managers. Oh, you are enjoying, right? You're enjoying now. So that is all that eventually happens. And just imagine, right? A person, we all having our humble starts and then coming to a place where you have options to eat. There's two types of sweets. There's so many things. You have TT table, you have pool, you have every amenity at your hand distance. And just knowing that, so I recently went to USA. Almost the whole Aspire trip was sponsored by Microsoft.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So where
so
did they like? Where
Microsoft.
was that event?
It was in Seattle, so
Okay,
Microsoft
Seattle.
Aspire. Yeah, so we have something called as Microsoft Aspire, where all the college freshers who joins, let's say the MBA peeps, also the BTech peeps, also all the college freshers who have joined who have joined Microsoft, have their training orientation of 3 days in Seattle, USA,
Oh, okay,
and
in the
this
main
whole
office.
trip is
Yeah,
sponsored. Yes, and this whole trip is sponsored by Microsoft. So that's a whole lot. So it's like a whole international trip sponsored by Microsoft, and obviously it's lots of fun. It's
yeah,
and the main pleasure of all these amenities is that okay, now I can afford it. And more than afford it, I would say the correct word is I have earned it. That finally, yes, I have earned to maybe worth it of having all these amenities. So I think so that is what independence all these good companies, whether that's Microsoft or any other one, wherever somebody's working, gives you. For me, that was Microsoft to give me that sort of financial freedom, that sort of confidence in me. But that's like the biggest perk that anyone can have.
yeah. It must be fun in Seattle as well because I think Piyush Bansal, if I'm not wrong, he even I think there was some story with him. Like I'm not sure about the story, but I think it
Yeah.
was in the Seattle office. Plus, no visa worries as well. That is probably the biggest thing.
Visa was a little hectic
Yeah,
due
but
to the
still, at
current
least like
situation.
it's
Yeah, obvious. From your like
yeah,
simple as it is. If it's not Microsoft Aspire, first also not just for the USA trip, okay? Is US having an international trip is obviously a great
correct,
opportunity
correct,
for any college fresher, and that to do USA is like a big tick tick tick.
correct.
But more than that, also the 3 day event is a fully packed great training session. So you have your, like say you have your Xbox vice president coming and giving talks to you, and it's like just a row. So it's just a row distance to that person, and you
Correct.
can surely raise your hand, ask doubts, and he's answering your doubts, and you're like, what is this really happening with me? And then you have the best of the professional trainers
Correct.
called for the very specific things like communication. There's something like doubts asking, there's something like team bonding which you want to actually understand and learn. They have been arranged by the Microsoft, taking all the pressure, all the efforts just for you to rise well in your career.
Yeah,
So
it probably
that's like
feels
a
good.
very rare opportunity.
Yeah, like you said,
And
you earned it. Like you earned it. It probably feels that
hmm,
you've actually done something in life. Like you usually
correct.
don't
And
get that feeling too much, but it's good to.
correct. And you are made to see a larger dream also that,
Correct.
yeah, you are here today and you are. So we have this line that aspire today, lead tomorrow. So
Correct.
they actually make you feel that you are the leaders of tomorrow. You learn and lead tomorrow. And especially, it's not just for Indians. So this event is all across the
All
world.
across the world.
So you get to meet. So I met people from Russia, from Egypt, from I met people from Europe, from California office. From I met a Asian person who was working at California office, but he's a Japanese, and I heard his story, his college experiences. There's such lots to learn, and what a better network opportunity can you get than this? So
Yeah, correct.
that's all in all very special. So yeah, the favorite amenity will be this
Yeah,
actually.
this is an added
Which I is
amenity.
not the amenity, it's an opportunity, but yes, this will be the favorite one. That's the
Correct.
USA trip.
Correct. And I feel for you, like you mentioned that aspire now and lead tomorrow. I feel for you're leading from today because you've done, I think this is your fourth podcast. So you probably are leading the audience in a very good manner, anyways. So I'd say you can change the code to lead from today and maybe create the leaders for tomorrow. That would be more opt for you. But Muskan, I really wanted something that I noticed personally is like based off of your mentality. I could see a lot of parallels with your mentality and the mentality of maybe like MS Dhoni or Tom Brady. Like I'm a huge sports fanatic, so as to say. So I'll just mention the points where I know where I saw the similarities. So first of all, for the Tom Brady part, I don't know if a lot of people know him in India, but there's basically a national football league in America, so it's basically American football. So he's this guy who was just from a normal college. He was from Michigan. He wasn't like a prodigy. He wasn't like this really big, bulky dude, who could. Who he wasn't the fittest, he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the smartest, and they basically have a draft system, right? So there are basically 6 rounds, and the last pick is around like 210 or something like that. So he went on the draft. The first round passed, the second round passed, and finally in like the fifth round, he just like got up and like he was really like emotional, and then he got picked 199. So just to put things in perspective, there are only like 10 people after that who got picked, and then he went to meet the owner. So the owner is like, "Yeah, I know you. You're like the 6th round draft pick." So then he really had that confidence. He like blazer. He like told his owner that yeah, I'm Tom Brady and I'm probably the best decision that you made. And he tells a story about himself that when he was in college, he was like a third string QB. So he was really yapping that these guys get so many reps, they get like 10 reps. I'm only getting 2 reps. How can I even compete with them? Blah blah blah. And then there's this medical mentor of theirs, this psychological coach. So he told him that you can just focus on the reps that you have, and that is something that you mentioned as well, right? They're always out there learning, so you should focus on the reps that you have and really focus on doing the best in that. And he said that is what my mentality then became. So wherever I was practicing like it was the final match, so I was giving it my 100%, like you mentioned. So that is somewhere that I noticed a parallel with you, because based off your confidence and the will to even work out after like probably a lot of rejections that most people face. And from MS Dhoni, I think he was the one that mentioned that dialogue that your uncle at on show talked about. It's a huge coincidence that he said the exact same thing, where he was like, I'm good every day because either I apply what I have learned or I'm learning. And that is something that you mentioned a lot of times. So I just wanted to like mention that a bit, because at the end of the day, everything I feel like falls under mentality. You can rise up from anywhere and you can fall down from anywhere if you don't have the correct mentality. So what would be your final message to the audience, mentality wise, if there's anything that you have? Because at the end of the day, I feel like your mentality is very, you have a lot of clarity and you have that learning mindset where even when you went to Seattle, you weren't just amazed by the fact that you're going to the US. You were probably more amazed by the fact that you got to learn so much about so many new people, whether that is on walks in India or whether that is in Seattle. And I think probably throughout your college career as well, you had a lot of people that you learned from. So, yeah, on an ending note, what would that one message sort of be to the audience?
Okay. So first of all, I'm totally humbled. Those peeps are really, really whom I look up to, especially MS Dhoni and the peeps. So I'm humbled. There's way lot to go. I'm still learning, but
Correct.
uh, I would just say one thing is, as you very well mentioned, everything is a learning. Even if you're succeeding, pause and learn. Even if you're, let's quote it as society says, even if let's say
Failing.
you
Yeah.
did not succeed and failing, then also pause and see the why. Always try to focus on the why. Why did I succeed? Why did I fail? And sometimes if the why answer is just luck, which can happen most of the times, then pat yourself at your back and say, it's okay, you did well. You'll find another opportunity that is correct for you. It's okay. And always remember, I think so. There's nothing special about me. There are people in my life, like my uncle Neeraj Walia, and my seniors, my mentors like Ashokan Pichai, who have always guided me in the correct way. So these people have always told me to focus on what I can do and then focus, okay, where did I lack? Like, let's not wait for the problem is when we wait for the results to tell us, oh, did I do good or not? It's okay. Results have their other parameters as well, luck, everything, accounting into it. Don't wait for the results to tell you worked better or you did not work well. You are the best judge for your work. Judge your work yourself. Be the best critique to yourself, that how did I work, how could I have improved it. And if the results fall as expected, good. If not, then believe there's something better holding on to you and you're just learning. And the most important skill to have is to network from the people, like have networking with the people and then learn from them. That's all. If you're doing that, you're on the right path.
Okay. So thank you so much once again, Muskan Walia. It was a pleasure hosting you. I myself learned a lot, and
Same here.
it's always great to network with such such people. Personally, I'm talking about myself as well. So yeah, I'd just like to first of all thank you for humbly coming on the podcast and being really honest. A lot of people like nowadays in the content creation world as well. I won't. I'm not like saying everyone's bad, but there are certain people that have their own, we can say, agendas or things like that. But I felt like you were really honest throughout your journey, and I don't think anyone could paint a clearer picture about this entire journey about life. And we just didn't talk about the internships and all of that. I think we covered a lot of things about life lessons that people can definitely take out of this podcast, even if they aren't in the IT world. So yeah, it was just a pleasure hosting you,
Same
and
here.
all the best for your future journey. I know you'll do even better. And for the people that really like this podcast, do drop your comments because it really means a lot for us. And also for the guest, I think it means it's a pat on their back as well for taking time out of their busy schedule. It's a Sunday right today, so like a lot of people are really busy, but taking out time from their busy schedule and actually giving out to the people. So I'll share all the links of Muskan, so you can follow her on Topmate. You can have the beautiful sessions where she can guide you one on one in a very personalized manner. Definitely connect with her on LinkedIn. She has a lot of other connections that she can probably help you out with connections as well. Like you can just go into her connections and find a couple of big folks as well. And yeah, I'll add all of the links. I'll add the link of Algo Zenith. So if people want to refer to that, because Muskan, I think for 1 year, right? You were in Algo.
Yeah, 1 year. Like I did the course tenure, so yeah.
Yeah,
And I have recently shifted to Insta because my junior said ki they are not that active on LinkedIn and they want me on Insta. So I
yeah.
think so that's also a cultural shift. So
Yeah, so you can
yeah, right
follow
now I'm
Muskan
also
on Insta as well for some technical content and better advice. So follow our channel, follow Muskan, and once again, thank you so much. It was a real pleasure.
thank you. Thank you. Pleasure.